Hola clase, soy la profesora Miss Marroquin and today, ah, okay, scratch that. Hola clase, soy Miss Marroquin. Hey class, it's me, Miss Marroquin. Hoy vamos a aprender sobre mi rutina diaria, my daily routine. So today in this class, in this specific lesson, we will be learning how to um, learn our daily routines in class and how you can collaborate and interpret to that in your own life, in your own daily routine in Spanish. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe your own routine in Spanish as well. So let's get started. Okay, so our objectives, students, you guys will be able to identify the daily routine in Spanish. You will also be able to identify reflexive verbs and able to pronounce them orally and in writing. Students will also be able to write correct pronunciation, placements, and sequence words in your daily routines. Our introduction today. This presentation in this class, this lesson, we will explore daily routines in Spanish, highlighting transitional words like después, antes, luego, and reflexive verbs like me, te, se, and the daily routine of every student in the class. I will show pictures of daily routines and you guys will identify them in Spanish, whatever you see in the screen. So let's go. So I'm going to first start with my daily routine and what I do, just so you guys can understand a little bit of what I'm saying and y'all can understand like what it should fall under and how it should synchronize for your routine. En la mañana me despierto a las 6. I wake up at 6. Luego me levanto. I get up. Después me cepillo los dientes. I brush my teeth. Me visto. I get dressed. Desayuno. I eat breakfast. Voy a la escuela. I go to school. Y en la tarde cocino la cena. In the afternoon, I cook dinner. Y por la noche me acuesto. And at night, I go to bed. So, first, we're going to talk about verbs versus pronouns. Many daily routine verbs in Spanish are reflexive verbs. Does anybody know what a reflexive verb? If you don't know what a reflexive verb is, don't worry, we'll learn about that all today. For example, me levanto is I get myself up. Te levantaste, you get yourself up. Se levantan, he gets up if it's a boy, or she gets up if it's a girl. Se levanta. Reflexive verbs show that the action is done to oneself. Let's practice with some pronouns me, te, se, nos, and se. So, pronoun and some verb examples. And these pronouns go with these verb examples. So when you say yo me, you're supposed to say levanto. So altogether it's yo me levanto. If you're saying I, like myself, you say tú te levantas. If you're describing somebody else to another person, like your friend, you could say if it's a guy, you can say él se levanta, or if it's a girl, you can say ella se levanta. If it's something about a group, you can say nosotros nos levantamos. And if it's a group that you're not in, you can say ellos se levantan. Okay, so I want you to practice a little bit of like pictures and some phrases in Spanish. For example, this picture to me is she's brushing her hair. She's brushing her hair. So if she's brushing her hair In English, that is cepillando el pelo. Right here, this picture is brushing your teeth. So in Spanish is cepillando los dientes. Right here, that is when you wake up. So when you wake up is despertando. Right here, this is a picture of, does anybody know? Yes, she's washing her face. So for washing your face in Spanish is lavando la cara. Right here, this man is getting dressed and putting his suit to go to work. So when you say getting dressed, you're supposed to say vestirse in Spanish. And this little kid right here is eating breakfast. So eating breakfast in Spanish is comiendo desayuno. So I want you to take a little moment since we just talked about this and I just show you what all of it is. I want you to pick the picture and I want you to pick the Spanish text it belongs to. So right here, she's waking up. So that in Spanish is despertando. And see how we got that correct? So on your own, I want you to try the rest of the assignment. And I'll give you a little bit of time to get it done. Okay, now we're gonna move on. Okay, in this activity, I want you guys to write down 1 or 2 sentences describing your morning routine using Spanish words or phrases you know. Please try to include reflexive verbs or sequent words if you can. So what I want you to do, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to write en la mañana, in the morning. Yo me levanto. I wake up. I get up. A desayunar. Eat breakfast. And for me, I love coffee. So I'm going to put tomar café. And when you're done with your sentence, your one or two sentences in Spanish about your morning routine. Obviously, you guys' morning routine does not look the same as mine. So you're just going to put this little thing and it should pop up right here. So you guys do your morning routine differently. So just in your own words, you guys can look like, what do you do in the morning? Do you wake up? ¿Te despiertas? And do you get on your phone? ¿Usas tu teléfono? Do you get on social media? La internet, como TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat? Or do you simply use YouTube? Watch a video? Miras un video? So whatever you do in your morning routine, I want you to give me 1 or 2 sentences of that. Okay. When you're done with that, we're going to move into the multiple choice part of our lesson, just so you can see a little bit of like what you've learned. So some of these questions are, which of the following is a reflexive verb used in the morning routine? Obviously, I'm not going to give you the answers, but I am going to give you a little bit of time to complete this assignment on your own, of course. Just make sure you get it done by the end of the day. So it's just 4 easy questions that you can do on your own pace. So now that we finished talking about morning, and this is a daily routine, so we are going to talk about morning, afternoon, and evening or night. So we are moving into our afternoon and evening routine. So afternoon and evening keywords: por la tarde, by the afternoon. You guys most do return home. So in Spanish, that is regreso a la casa. I return home. Hago mi tarea. I do my homework. Ceno con mi familia. I eat dinner with my family. And that is some of the keywords that you will be using for your afternoon words. Obviously, you guys have access to our Google Classroom where I have set more information. I've set a poster with more reflexive verbs and more afternoon and evening keywords for your daily routines. You're also available to use a dictionary, the Spanish one that I've also linked in our Google Classroom, and other little fun posters and Google slides I have shared in our Google Classroom that you can access at any point throughout your assignment this lesson. So for night, you say, most of you, shower. So you're going to say in Spanish, me baño. I take a bath or shower. Es me baño. Me pongo la pijama. I put my pajamas on. Me acuesto. I go to bed or I lay down. And me duermo. I fall asleep. So we're going to be looking at some pictures and what they mean and like what do they describe in Spanish and in English, just so you could see the visual representation as well as how it's written in English and how it's written in Spanish and how they translate. So right here we have a picture of a lady walking in and coming home. So that is I return home in English. So in Spanish that is regreso a la casa. This kid, he's doing his homework, as you can tell by the picture. So in English, that is, I do my homework. And in Spanish, it is, hago mi tarea. Right here, the family is eating dinner together. So when you're describing that in your daily routine, that is, I eat dinner with my family. Ceno con mi familia. And the last one is at night, because you can tell it's the moon and it's dark. So in Spanish, at night is en la noche. Right here, we have Snoopy showering. So when you say I shower is me baño. Right here, there's this girl putting on her pajamas. In English, is I put on my pajamas, and I put on my pajamas is translated in Spanish to me pongo la pijama. Right here, this girl is just laying in bed and she's reading her book. So when you're saying I'm laying in bed or I go to bed, you say me acuesto. Obviously, if you do read a book when you're asleep, you can say me acuesto y leo mi libro. But also, it all depends on what you do when you go to bed, because you can say me acuesto, I go to bed or I lay down. Y, that's the end, that's the transitional word. Miro mi teléfono, I look at my phone. But you guys, like I said, you are more than welcome to use any of the resources I have in Google Classroom to help you a little bit more to do your own daily routine, since this is about you and what you do in your life. These are just some keywords and key pictures that I know for sure most of y'all are going to use in your daily routines. So right here is, he's obviously asleep. So I fall asleep is me duermo. So one of our activities that we have is time to climb. So this is an activity where it is going to ask you, what does después mean? Some little activities and answers that you can answer for yourself. So después is, it'll say it in Spanish, but then you can say before, after, first, last. So después is, it'll click on it and it'll tell you the right answer. So right here, I want you guys to pin on this corkboard one or two activities you do in the evening. Write them in Spanish using reflexive verbs and again, sequence words if you can. So you guys, some activities you might do is doing your homework. You could say, yo hago la tarea. I do my homework. Or if you have a pet, you can say, I play with my dog. Yo juego con mi perro. If you don't have a dog and you have a cat, you can say, yo juego con mi gato. I play with my cat. If you don't have any pets, but you do have siblings and you do want to play with them, or you do play with them after you get home from school, if you want to say, I play with my siblings, in Spanish, that is, yo juego con mis hermanos. Other things that you guys might do is do your makeup. Ladies, I know you guys like doing your makeup. So you could say, yo me maquillo. I do my makeup. There are many ways that you guys can do your sentences and like write one or two activities. For example, for me, I can say one activity I do in the evening is drink coffee. Yo tomo café. I can also say I watch movies or TV. You can say en la tarde yo miro películas, which translate to in the afternoon I watch movies. So there are many activities that you guys can do at the end of your school day. So just write one or two activities that you do in the evening. This is our next part, our open-ended question. You guys, I want you to describe your daily routine using sequence words like primero, luego, después, finalmente. And how do these words help organize your routine clearly in Spanish? For example, I'm going to show you mine so you can have a brief, so you can hear it briefly and what it's supposed to sound like. So, en la mañana, in the morning, lo primero que hago, the first thing I do, is cepillarme los dientes, brushing my teeth. Then I go and say, luego, then, me lavo la cara, I wash my face. Después, como desayuno. Later, I eat breakfast. Y finalmente, and finally, me visto para ir al trabajo. I get dressed to go to work. You guys can use different things. I just described my morning routine, but you guys can describe your whole daily routine. It doesn't have to be something big. It could be something small. So you guys can say, primero me lavo los dientes y me lavo la cara. Después, luego, me visto y me voy a la escuela, which it translates to first, I brush my teeth, then I wash my face. Later, after that, I eat breakfast, I get dressed, and I go to school. So when after that, for your evening part, you can say, después de la escuela, after school, llego a la casa, I get home, y hago mi tarea, and I do my homework. Ceno con mi familia, I eat dinner with my family. Y finalmente, and finally, me acuesto en la cama. I lay down in the bed. Y me duermo and I go to sleep. So there are many ways that you can place primero, luego, después, y finalmente in your daily routine. If you guys need any help, let me know. But I would like you guys to do this activity as well at the end of the lesson. So these are other questions that you guys will answer on your own time. It's little activities just to make sure that you guys are really learning and grasping all everything that we are doing. So, excelente trabajo. Great work. This is the last thing of our lesson. I really do hope you guys learned something today, at least how to say the words and how do they look. I also hope that you can match the pictures with the proper Spanish representation. And if you guys need any help, I will have additional resources for y'all in Google Classroom. And you are more than welcome to email me or send me a message through Meet Remind or any of those platforms.